And Melissa, I gave you permission to record too.
Perfect. Got
Okay.
it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Suze, for being on Connecting the Dots. When we saw your email come through, we knew that we had to jump at the chance to talk to you immediately. You are such an inspiration to us, and I actually learned about what you do and your app when I was looking for a meditation app probably like 6 months ago, and fell in love with how easy it was to use and how I could just put a reminder, get reminded at my 2:30 slump during the workday to take 2 to 5 minutes to just meditate, get back centered, and go. So I can't wait to talk to you so much more about your app. But before we get into it and we have you introduce yourself, we love starting off with an icebreaker. So what is something that you are reading, watching, or listening to?
I am doing a program right now called Wild Fit, and it is the craziest health program. It's actually on the Mind Valley app. Basically, you eat like you're in the wild. So I am someone who likes to eat everything. So this has really kind of helped me go from eating everything to now I'm only eating vegetables and protein, pretty much. And I've lost like 6 pounds. So it's been pretty amazing.
That's so cool. I've never heard of that app, but I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's a really cool program.
Yeah, no, I like that. It kind of reminds me of Whole30 a little bit, because you're kind of getting back to just eating the whole foods,
Yes.
getting back to nature. And that's been a common theme with a lot of our guests on this show. So perfect.
Yeah.
Fit right in.
What about you guys? What are you inspired by, or other than the Unplug app?
Right now, I just recently moved, so I haven't had a minute to listen to anything else besides our own podcast, and music. But hopefully once things slow down, I'm going to get back into reading. That's my goal this year.
Okay, great.
I just did a course. I don't know if I'm sure you know, because I know at Unplug you offer Reiki. So I know that you are in the energy healing space a little bit, but I just took a course on theta healing. So I just read the theta healing book. It's right here. And I've been practicing energy healing. So that's been what I've been up to.
That's exciting. We have so many energy healers at Unplug, and we actually have Reiki on the app also.
I didn't
That's really
I'm
cool.
sure you don't know a lot of stuff. I'll guide you and kind of show you all the cool things that like normal people don't really discover until they've been on the app for a long time.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, super excited. And also, if you don't know, I'm actually Reiki 1 certified, and hopefully in the future want to get Reiki 2 certified. But I also used to teach yoga, so meditation is a huge part of my life. So I'm super excited to hear how you started. So let's kind of segue into that. If you could tell us a little bit about your background, yourself, your health journey, and how that led you to where you are today in creating the Unplug app.
Well, if you were to say to me that I would be doing what I'm doing now, 20 years ago, 10 years, 12 years ago, I would have said, what? There's no way. I used to be a fashion editor. So I worked at Vogue, Elle, Claire and Glamour Magazine. I was a glamour for 14 and a half years, representing them on television shows like Oprah, Good Morning America, The Today Show, pretty much like 4 days a week by the end of my stint there. And I was working a lot with people where I would literally grab them off the street, and I would have the top hairstylists in the world, top makeup artists, and just clothes, tons of clothes, and offer them the opportunity of a lifetime, which is basically to transform everything, be photographed, and have the best picture that they'll ever take. And of course, most people said yes to that. And I did that for a really long time. My husband, and I loved my job. I loved working in fashion. It was amazing. But one time when I was on a shoot in Los Angeles, I was doing the Oscars. I was dressing this television anchor, Robin Roberts. And I went to go visit, she works at Good Morning America. I went to go visit one of my friends, and his 3 sons were running free outside. And I have 3 boys, and mine were like climbing up the walls of Manhattan. So as a joke, I said to my husband, we should move to LA. And then when you know, if you put things out into the universe, sometimes they come back. 2 weeks later, out of the blue, he gets this job offer to move to Los Angeles. So he goes, he interviews, he comes back. And first, he just wanted to meet this guy because this was a legendary guy. I don't know if you've heard of the Broad Museum in Los Angeles, but Eli Broad was the guy who offered my husband a job. So he said, let's just have an adventure and leave everything in New York City and move to LA and quit your job and leave your family. And I'm like, wait, what? And as you said, Melissa, you're moving and you know how stressful that is. So imagine moving across the country with 3 kids and, leaving this job that is the only one you've ever known. And so I moved out here, and for 6 months we settled down, and then I was going back and forth a lot. And on one of my trips, I was super stressed out. And my mother-in-law, who happens to be a psychotherapist, said, you need to breathe. And I said to her, what's that? And she said, oh, okay, let me guide you. So she guided me through this 3-minute exercise where I slowed down my breath and I visualized my happy place, me in my happy place. And I opened my eyes and I felt like a different person. And I said to her, what is that? And she said, it's called meditation. You should learn how to do it. And this was 2012. Yeah, I think it was 2012. And I was like, okay. And it was really hard at the time. You'd have to go on retreats. There were no drop-in meditation centers. There was no place to easily learn. And most of them, you had to learn one type of lineage. So it was either, mantra-based meditation, transcendental meditation, Vedic meditation, mindfulness, but 6-week course at UCLA. So I'm like, where's like the dry bar of meditation, that place where you can like walk in 30 minutes later, come out feeling great. And I started looking around and I started Googling places. I'm like, I should really like open up a place like this, like a dry bar for meditation. And my husband said, you should first learn how to meditate. And so I'm like, okay, first I'm going to learn how to meditate. I'm going to learn everything. And then I'm going to do this thing. He's like, okay. And that's what happened.
That is absolutely incredible. And I love that you had that realization that there really wasn't a place for it. And I really think until you got your app up and running, and I'm sure people in Los Angeles who started to visit your studio got involved. But when I started to hear like in the wellness space, like you should meditate, I was like, okay, how? Like, what do you do? Like, what? You just close your eyes and you breathe? Or, some people would say like, oh, visualize the ocean. And I'm like, okay, I'm visualizing the ocean, but like, no one was there to explain what was going on, how to quiet the mind, / that when you're learning, it's okay to have other thoughts come into your head. I just thought that I was horrible at meditating because the minute I would sit down, it would be like my running to-do list going through my mind. So I love how you were like, wait, we need a place for this because it is so important for our health and for our mindset and to be able to have that outlet, but people need to know how to do it.
Well, that's true. I mean, Kathleen, you just kind of listed maybe the biggest hurdle and myth of meditation, which is, okay, actually you listed 2. One is I'm a bad meditator. I'm doing it wrong. And the second one was I have too many thoughts. And most people don't realize that thinking is actually part of meditation. So in meditation, there's 3 things that happen with every meditation. The first is we place our awareness on our breath, breathing in, breathing out. You're just kind of aware that you're breathing. The second thing is you let it slip away. I'm here in the present moment. And then the third thing that happens is your mind wanders. You start thinking about what you're doing after that moment or planning dinner. And the next thing you know, you're on a trip to Italy in your brain and you've gone down the rabbit hole. And then you realize, oh, I'm not meditating anymore. Let me come back to the present moment. So breathe, let go, mind wanders, bring it back. Breathe, let go, mind wanders, bring it back. And it becomes that bicep curl for the brain. So the more that you actually become aware of what's happening in your mind, the more you actually can control your emotions. Because normal people who don't do this, or many people who don't do this, are feeling stressed, and then they freak out, and then they take it out on everybody else around them. And then they sheepishly have to go apologize, right? Afterwards, because they're embarrassed, they behave badly, whatever. You can't press the rewind button in life, unfortunately. But with meditation, it allows you to actually press that inner pause button so you can calm yourself down with your breath and then respond instead of be reactive all the time.
Yeah, that's similar to what I always say. It's like the difference between reaction and responding. Like you have that moment to respond. And I like how you broke it down in almost like a formula. I'm a math person, so I appreciate that. And also when I was learning to teach yoga, they taught us like in that formulaic way. So then it's like, okay, you're understanding breath, posture, cue, breath, posture, cue. Okay, now you're moving with your breath. You're kind of getting through that mindful movement. And for me, that's how because I was quote unquote bad at meditation, I thought, because I didn't understand how to focus my mind on my breath. And when I learned it through movement and yoga, then I'm like, okay, now this idea of presence helped me kind of refocus my thoughts. So I love how you're teaching that. I feel like in a very good way that people will understand who don't usually meditate.
Well, I believe you need to simplify so that people get it. And the truth is for me, Melissa, when I was going out and talking to people, I'm like, wait, this is exactly the same. I just took a TM course. I just took a mindfulness course. I just took a Vedic course. And they're all the exact same thing. You can't tell me that it's not step 1, we breathe, step 2, we let go, step 3, our mind wanders, and then we come back. And they all pretty much said, yeah, that's it. I mean, they were trying to make me go down their highway, like their lineage or philosophy or whatever. But I realized it was kind of like a TV segment almost, like in television when you're watching Good Morning America, for instance. You open it up and you get the idea of what the story is. Then you get 3 tools on how to do it. And then at the end, you bring it back. And it's kind of the same thing. So they all are different flavors. There's so many ways to meditate. And I actually love all of them, but they're all similar in that they all are pretty much fundamentally the same thing.
Yeah, it is really helpful, especially to start the episode with this, because I know people who are listening are probably like, I'm such a bad meditator, I can't do it. And you just debunked the whole thing. So I'm really glad that they have that as we continue on this conversation. But I'm so curious, after you went through all of the classes, the trainings, broke meditation down to the simplest, best steps, how did you open the first dry bar for meditation?
What I did was I really went for the teachers first. So I reached out to the top teacher in Los Angeles. And through him, I started, and he was so excited because nobody had ever done this before and he'd been wanting this to happen for decades. So he was like, whatever you need, I'm on board. He loaned me his studio manager. He had his own yoga studio. He loaned me his studio manager from his yoga studio. He walked in and he told me about the lighting needed to be right. And we needed to like play music while everybody was gone to get the vibe right in the space. He wanted, and then I had a friend come in and said it needed to smell right. So it was about thinking about how you walk into a space. You've walked into spaces before and you're like, bad vibes, right? Has that ever happened to you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's another one where you walk into a space and you feel like welcome by the front desk. Like they smile at you. They make you feel comfortable. They make you feel like they're your friend. And then you go into the classroom and it's like lit in a way. Oh, and it smells good. It smells like orange and eucalyptus. And then you walk into the classroom and it's lit in a way that you instantly calm down, purple lighting. And then there are these chaise lounges that, mold into your body that you can just lay down flat on your back if you want to, or be in a, sit up position, whatever you choose to do. And so that was really how I started. It was like getting that one amazing teacher made all the other teachers want to be involved. And that teacher was Steve Ross, just in case you're wondering.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I think the space is super important because when I now go to different yoga studios and stuff, you could immediately tell the difference by the attitude of the person sitting at the front desk, the energy there, the music, the lighting, everything, just the people who go. It's like you want to create this community and the safe space for everyone to like want to keep going.
Right.
I'm curious what type of, because it sounds like you learned all these different types of meditation classes and you simplified it. Did you just offer one type of meditation at first when you started, or did you have a bunch of different types for different people?
So at first I was kind of focusing more on mindfulness, but guess what? People, well, I like to say this, but mindfulness really didn't sell. Like nobody wanted to come and just do mindfulness classes. So we ended up bringing in sound baths. And then we ended up bringing in hypnotherapists who could guide you on these journeys that were meditative journeys, like not hypnotizing you, but they were hypnotic meditative journeys. And then I met this one teacher who nobody was going to her class. And I'm like, what are you passionate about? And she said, I'm really passionate about crystals. And I said, well, that's so not what we want to do because we don't want to be woo-woo and unplug. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just try it. So we tried it and she had 40 people show up. So it was the biggest class at the studio. Everybody was laying down and she was putting crystals all over people's bodies. And because of how she felt what crystals they needed, and people loved it. And so that's how crystals came in. And then aromatherapy came in and then Reiki came. So we started just bringing in things that people wanted. But the thing that helped me the most was I put a suggestion box on the front desk and I had people write suggestions and I would go and I would read them and I would literally make Unplug geared towards what their suggestions were.
That is so smart and so cool that you were able to get a space that combines all of those modalities, because I think a lot of people who are interested in the mindfulness, meditation, wellness space dabble in sound baths and crystals or want Reiki, but have to find all these different practitioners and all these different places to go. So it's so amazing that you created this space that people could go for whatever healing modality they wanted at that time and didn't have to continuously shop around.
Right. And what is so cool is that it wasn't just the modality, it's the level of the teacher. So David G., who's this amazing teacher who works with us, always says that Unplug is like the Carnegie Hall of meditation teachers. You have to really get out there, practice for years before you can teach at our studio. And so we have like some of the best teachers on the planet, and many of which have written books since they started working here, have been on TV shows, are traveling across the globe. We send someone to Portugal with Porsche to do like an event with them. And like we went on the Oprah Winfrey Share the Adventure cruise with Tracy Stanley and sent 3 different teachers on there. So it was on 3 different trips. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Where do you have Unplug Studios now?
So Unplug Studio is located in Los Angeles on Wilshire Boulevard, right next to Santa Monica. But we actually offer live classes on Zoom. So we're hybrid now. So people are tuning in for some of the classes from London, from Ireland, from Hong Kong. And we also have a teacher training program. So we've trained teachers, over 240 now, all over the globe. And they're now teaching, not just Unplug, but they're teaching in their studios. They're opening up their own studios. And we're kind of like helping them kind of get the message out, because I believe the more people doing this, the better the world will be.
Well, that's good to know you guys do a teacher training program. I'm adding that on my list of do's the next few years.
It's the best program ever. And I'm not just saying that because it's Unplugged, but I thought, who would I want to learn from? And the person I would want to learn from is David G. Excuse me for a second.
Yeah. I love him on the app.
Do you like this mug?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Meditation is always a good idea. That's what the mug says for people who are just listening. So yeah, so I asked David G, who's an incredible teacher, if he would teach our program because he's already certified 2,000 teachers around the globe. But I wanted ours to be 6 weeks instead of the normal 2 years or 8-week programs. And I wanted it to incorporate all the different styles of meditation that you would teach at a studio and simplified in a way that you could teach it inside corporations, because we do a lot of corporate work at Unplug. So he said yes. And we're going on our 12th certification starting in March.
That's amazing.
It's really fun. And we teach people like how to go on camera, how to teach a Zoom class, how to teach a room class, from room to Zoom to hybrid to whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's great because like you said, yeah, I feel like there's always like one specific meditation course. And I like over COVID, I would lead my team at work through meditation. So I was like, okay, let me try and Google things. And like I would teach yoga, but meditations are slightly different. So just trying to learn on my own, and then tailor it to the corporate like lifestyle, because obviously you can't be as woo-woo for them. You gotta simplify it. So I love that you are doing it in a way that does incorporate it for everyone.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So selfishly, I just am curious, but I know that listeners will be too. So it's a 6-week course. What's the time commitment?
Oh, okay. So it is 5 weeks on your own time. So it's about an hour a day for the first 5 weeks. And then in week 6, we're together like this from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. You get a 2-hour break. And what happens is every single week, you learn the science. Let's say week 1 is the science of meditation. Then you have to do a video of yourself teaching the science of meditation. And we look at your video and we're like, okay, you could be a little bit better. You could do this or whatever. And then week 2, you learn the history. Then you teach it. Then week 3. So those are all the videos for the first 5 weeks. Week 6 is when we meditate in the morning together with David G. We go deep. And then we teach you how to teach. So you teach one-on-one classes, you teach small groups, and then you teach the whole global audience of Unplug at the end. So you teach about 14 times in our teacher training program. So by the time that you graduate, you're not that person who says, who am I to teach meditation? Because pretty much everybody, even Melissa just said that, everybody starts off like that. Who am I to teach meditation? By the end, you are confident and you are ready to walk into Google and teach a corporate session. Like we teach you how to teach a corporate, and then we teach you how to teach in your own voice, because we don't want you to read a script, because the most boring meditation teachers are the ones who are scripted and monotone and talking that meditation-y voice. So we kind of teach you all the tricks on how to be a great teacher that people will actually want to come back to.
Wow. Yeah, I think those are all key elements, especially the practice piece, because when I was teaching yoga, it's like, yeah, you could learn all this stuff, but then teaching it, reiterating it is a whole different like ballpark. So it's great that you do that.
Yeah, because we think that's the most important part, because you need to get comfortable with teaching in order to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just a student.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
by the end, you're a certified meditation teacher because you've taught over 40 people at Unplug, and you've taught 14 classes. You're ready to go in 6 weeks. So it's a lot. I don't want to say that it's not a lot, because it's like a 2-year program in the span of 6 weeks, but it's really fun.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I was like, would you have to not work for 6 weeks? I mean, worth it, but
No. You can work the entire way through except for week 6. Week 6, you have to take off because you need to be 100% with us. But some people, even like we had people from Hong Kong, and they were on a whole different schedule. So they were working in the day and doing teacher training at night, and they were sleeping in our 2-hour breaks and in between the two. So it was one of those crazy things, but people come from all over the world to do this.
Wow. I love the dedication.
It's fun.
me too. So how did meditation, I know that your mother-in-law introduced you to breath work, and you were like, I need to know more about this. I need to figure out how to bring this to more people. but how has meditation specifically impacted you?
Okay, well, I have always suffered from impatience. That is probably one of my biggest flaws. In the top 10 of all my flaws. I have 10 solid flaws. So impatience, I'm hyped up like all the time. So it really calms me down and slows me down because I'm someone who would move too fast and, break everything around me. But I need to slow myself down so that I can actually do more. And that's what I noticed, that it really has helped me with productivity, with focus. My memory has gotten better. I don't experience stress in the way that other people experience stress. And it's really hard for little things to bother me. I've noticed that there's a lot of things that used to be something that would happen, and then I would get upset, and then I would think about it all day and ruminate, and it would get worse and worse and worse. That never happens to me anymore. So
Wow.
even the challenges that come, and I have 3 kids, so you can imagine the quantity of challenges that I have. I'm a CEO of a company, I'm running this thing, but even all of those things, it never feels like a problem. It always feels like a challenge. And I think it's because I start my day with meditation every single morning. You couldn't even pay me not to meditate. And when I don't, I really feel the difference. And I think people can sense the difference too. But I haven't not meditated in about 653 days. I've been consistent, and I'm not even in the top 10 in Unplug. Like, there are people who are 1,000, 2,000. It's crazy.
Wow.
In a good way. It's good crazy. I know people think that word is it's a great crazy. So yeah.
We love crazy.
Yeah. Crazy good.
Yes, crazy good. So I'm curious then, what does your morning routine look like? Like, does it consist, like when you meditate every day, is it 5 minutes? Is it an hour? Like, what does that look like to you? And then, because I'm sure listeners are going to say, do I have to meditate for an hour every morning? Like, I don't have time for this. So
I have time for that? I don't. Okay. All right. How would you like me to show you what it looks like?
I would love
Would you
it.
like that? Okay.
sure.
All right. So, and I'll kind of narrate it for people who are driving their cars listening to this. So can I share my screen? I can. Thank you. Okay. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't even look. I basically, oops, hold on. Let me just do this again. Ooh, la la. Okay. Everybody just saw my screen. I press the Unplug app. And I first see live your dreams. I get a positive quote that changes every single day. That is the first thing that I see every single morning. Okay, a quote. Some people open up their phones and they look at email and they get a toxic email in there and their whole day is ruined. Some people open up their phone and they look at Instagram and they compare themselves to everybody else's highlight reel. They get depressed and then they cry. Some people open up their phones and they look at the news, and we're not designed to see 500 horrible stories every single morning from around the globe. So I choose the first thing that goes into my brain, and that is the positive quote of the day from Unplug Meditation. Then this is the home screen, as you can see. So this meditation of the day changes every day. But what I do is I click that, I open my eyes, I read the note, and I press this button. And every month there's a new challenge on the Unplug app. So I basically do day 1, day 2, I just go down to the day. So let me see. I don't even know what today's date is. It must be the 24th, right? Because I'm on the 24th of the month, because I never miss a day. So I basically just do a different meditation every single day. And as you can see, I'm not just saying that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'm showing them that I have 656 consecutive days.
Yeah. And for listeners who aren't watching the YouTube, the daily average time is 6 minutes and 17 seconds. So you do not need to be doing it for an hour. Just a few minutes a day you will get that benefit. That's actually
a little bit broken on the app. So the daily time, I would say for me, it's a solid 10 minutes. It's pretty much 10 minutes every day. And we design the challenges to all be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Seems very reasonable.
Yeah. So I wanted to make it so simple and so easy that anyone who could breathe could do this. And you were talking, Kathleen, a little bit about finding cool things. And so we have all these great topics on the app. One is like how to use the app. So you can watch that, the Unplug App Awards, which is like the Allure Beauty Awards. You get to see like the best of for the years past. Sleep, we have about 100 sleep ones. We won Elle Magazine's best sleep meditation, stress and anxiety. But the one that you will love is this one, unique and unusual.
Ooh.
You probably didn't know that it was even there, right?
I didn't. My three are stress and anxiety, like midday slump, and the pain and healing. So I did not know this was a category.
Well, energy healing, we have Reiki in there, we have karma in there, we have crystals in there.
We have tapping too.
Yeah, we have great tapping in here. Intro to tapping, to get unstuck by two fantastic teachers, Kelsey Patel and Lena George, who are two superstars in that field. We have hypnosis in its own category. This is one of my favorite meditation quickies for the people you were talking about. Those are all under 5 minutes. We made this playlist for the company that we work with, Condé Nast Corporation. So that's great. And then Hypno Habits. This is one of my favorite ones. Have you seen this one yet?
No.
So Hypno Habits is basically for people, let's say I actually hired this woman. Her name is Camilla Sacredollar. She's a teacher at Unplug. She's incredible. She's a certified NLP hypnotherapist. And I hired her to hypnotize me to want to exercise because I was finding that I just wasn't exercising. And I was like, could you hypnotize me to exercise? And she said, yes, I could. So she hypnotized me. And then I ended up exercising every day for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I fell off the wagon, but you have to keep going on. But I said, if it works for that, can you help me with productivity, better sleep, movement, healthy eating? So we ended up doing this entire Hypno Habit series. And most of the meditations are anywhere from 16 to 19 minutes long.
Oh, that productivity one seems good for someone like me who has ADD. So
it's great. So then you would go to the work and productivity section and you could do the 60-second superpower focus.
Wow.
And we actually use these before our team meeting. So like, for instance, if I wanted to do the before our team meeting and I turned my phone like this on Zoom, we can all meditate together as a group.
Oh my gosh.
You just plug it into your computer like this.
I'm Lauren Ekstrom at Unplug Meditation.
I love her.
And this
She's one of
meeting meditation.
She's a great teacher. And Lauren Ekstrom actually has her own app now that's amazing with her husband, Travis Elliott.
Wow.
Forgot the name of it right now, but it'll come to me. Anyway, so yeah, so we have that. We have different courses. You can even make playlists. So for instance, I have a friend who's suffering from cancer. So I made a cancer playlist for her. And then you see this arrow right here? I emailed it to her and she could watch all the videos for free.
Oh my gosh.
I just got chills.
Yeah. And then like if you have a friend whose birthday it is, like basically anything you could ever possibly dream of, you could search. So let's say I searched birthday. It's my friend's birthday and I want to send her a birthday present, but I have no money. I would send her this. And guess what? She would like it so much more than any gift I ever sent it to.
Happy birthday.
Anyway, they're really fun. That's just my quick share.
Oh,
there's so much more, but yeah.
Thank you. Because even as someone who has been on the app, I really do. I just do my like 2:30 reminder and that's what I got. I have not had the time, or I could make the time, but that's been good in my schedule. But now that I know that there's so much to explore, I can't wait.
Well, there's a woman. So we decided Apple, we have a very good relationship with Apple. And our person over at Apple told me that he really thought I should talk to our heaviest users of the Unplug app. So I've reached out to anyone who had meditated 1,000 times or more on the Unplug app, and I listened to how they use the app. So you said you get the reminder and then you do that. There's one woman who every first of the month, she goes into a Unplug retreat. So she does the challenge in a row So she does 3 hours straight where she hits the entire challenge.
That's
Wow.
cool.
First of every month. I never heard of anybody using it that way. And there are just so many different people and who are looking for different ways to do it. And we have over 1,200. Ooh, there was one more thing I wanted to show you. Can I show you one more thing?
Oh, yeah, please.
Hold on. Okay. We have courses on there, but one of the greatest parts about Unplug is actually the teachers. So we have these amazing stars. This woman is an Olympic gold medalist. Her name is Tasha Danvers, and she won the bronze for hurdling. And she does motivational talks on the app, and they're 4 minutes long. So if anybody feels like they need someone to help them with their motivation, she's fantastic. And we have foreign language and all these different people, as you can see. And yeah. And also the last 2 things was we have a journal, because when you write down what you're grateful for, you move from sadness and depression into gratitude. It's an easy way to get out of a funk. So we put a gratitude journal in there, and we also put a timer in here for people who don't want to be guided. They're so good. Or Melissa, for you, when you're teaching, you can start at like say 20 minutes and you want to do forest birds.
That's amazing.
And you can guide using this. So you could kind of, it's great for teachers too. So it's a great teacher's tool.
You really have everything in this app. And I'm just immediately thinking of so many people, like so many of my coworkers that would benefit from it too. Like,
Yep.
especially because it is so accessible, and just like even the motivational talks. Like I have a coworker who would always find these motivational talks and just send them to me. Like it's all centralized.
Well, we use it with corporations. So we actually sell bulk subscription to companies so that the employees can use it as a wellness tool, because we know that like employees don't want to tell their employer when they're suffering from PTSD or panic attacks or, pain or depression or anxiety. And here you just literally click a button and 10 minutes later you feel better than you did 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And you are segueing perfectly into my next question, which is, so why do you think meditation is important for everyone to incorporate into their daily routine?
Well, I feel like we brush our teeth every day, right? And I feel like we need to cleanse our brain every day. And this is a way to do that, because we have old stuff. We have old algorithms running in our brain that were trained when we were young, and they kind of suck. I mean, come on, shoveling cereal into your mouth without thinking about it. And then you're like, wait, where'd the cereal go? Oh, maybe that's just me. But we do stupid stuff that we are not conscious of, right? And it's because it's programmed. So what meditation does is it allows you to actually sit with yourself so you can see, like, what am I thinking on repeat? Are those thoughts serving me? How can I unsubscribe from them? And then you can unsubscribe from them because you become aware of them. Because most people don't take any time to be aware of their own thoughts. Most people never slow down to ask themselves important questions. Why am I here? How do I want to feel today? How do I want to be today? We think about all the stuff we want to do, but we don't think about how we want to be. And actually this morning's meditation on the Unplug app was with Sarah Ivanhoe, and it's called Sankalpa, which is an ancient tradition, and it's about being. It's what they called intention setting, but intention setting is not to create a to-do list, it's to create a to-be list. And the to-be list is, how do I want to be? And today I just wanted to be loving and kind. That was my goal starting the day out. And so far, so good, I think. But setting the intention makes it easier to get to where you want to go. And let me just explain one quick thing, which is secondhand stress is real. You work you go into an office, you're really angry, guess what? Everybody else is going to be irritated around you because they're going to feel that, right? Just like when your boss comes in and they're really angry, we feel that energy, right? Or anyone. So that's secondhand stress. And I think it's even worse than secondhand smoking.
I literally say this to my boyfriend every single morning when he wakes up, and exactly what you were saying earlier, wakes up, looks at his phone, checks his email, is angered by an email, his morning's derailed, and then my morning's derailed. And I'm like, no, this is my Zen time. This is my quiet time. This is when I'm getting my mind right. Like, we're not doing this. And he knows now, but it's funny, like when we had first started living together, it was such growing pains. And I was like, you need to redo your morning routine because it does not work for me.
Right. But it doesn't work for him because
Right.
he's giving the power to the other people. And the best thing that you can possibly do for yourself is steal 10 minutes every morning for self-care. Because we don't have a healthcare crisis, we have a self-care crisis in this world. And we need to take care of ourselves. And the reason this world is so out of whack right now is because people are not getting in touch with like their anger issues and all their issues. Right?
Got a lot of
Yeah.
And we all have them. We all have a lot. And they keep coming and they keep coming and they keep coming. But what happens is when you actually meditate in the morning, you're able to repel the stuff that you don't need.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think with going back to that stress thing, I had moved from New York to Miami. So, New York City is go, go, go. You've experienced it.
Yes.
And just immediately coming here, the energy is completely different. Like it's a huge energy shift. Everyone's a lot more relaxed. And I immediately feel just from like day one, there was a lot of other issues with my movers and stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'm here in Miami. Sun is shining. Everything will work out. And I was like, okay, if I was in New York, would not be having that mentality. So it definitely, energy is a huge thing. I do want to kind of go into a little bit, maybe for the science nerds, because I know you mentioned like PTSD and depression and all this stuff. And for those who don't know how meditation helps with that, could you kind of talk about how people can benefit from that?
Yes. So there is a Harvard neuroscientist named Sarah Lazar. And you guys should write this down. She did a TED Talk about a study that she did for Harvard and Mass General. And what she did was she took 50-year-old, well, basically, here's how it works. When you're 25, your brain is at peak. Your memory, your focus, your executive decision-making, this is all where it peaks. And at the age of 25, after that, your brain slowly starts to decline, okay? It starts to, grow in certain areas and shrink in other areas. Our brain doesn't stay the same. And what they found were the 50-year-old brains were weaker than the 25-year-old brains. So she did a study with 50-year-olds who had never meditated before and did before and after MRIs of their brain and put them on a 27-minute meditation program of mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is kind of like a form of mindfulness, and had the 50-year-olds do this every day for 8 weeks. And at the end of this program, their brains became as sharp as the 25-year-old. There was a growth in the front area of their brain where memory, focus, executive decision-making exist. And there was a shrinkage in the amygdala section, which is the back of the brain where stress and anxiety are. So people shrunk stress and anxiety and grew memory, focus, executive decision-making, and compassion. And you can see it on the scans, and she talks about it on her TED Talk, and it is brilliant. So when people ever say, oh, it seems sometimes like it's the ultimate panacea. There's so many articles about how it helps with testing, how it lowers your blood pressure, how it helps you with your sleep, how it helps you with your focus, with ADHD, with depression, with PTSD. But there's the science behind it. People studied it. And if you look on our website, we link you to the Harvard studies, the NYU, New York Times articles, and different things that you can find legitimate studies that can back all those things up.
Yeah. I am a nutritionist and I just graduated with my master's in August of 2022. And throughout school, I went to American and they had a very like liberal arts approach to science, which was really cool. So we got to do research on whatever we were interested in, and we had to do a project on a health issue that we were genetically predisposed to and an intervention that we wanted to use to prevent that for ourselves and track it and do all this cool stuff. And so I chose meditation as mine because my family has a history of many different types of cancers. And of course, stress is a risk factor for cancer. And so I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to reduce stress. I'm going to meditate every day. I did it for 7 weeks and it was just amazing how I felt. But of course, as I was doing it, I had to write like 3 papers a week about the research behind it and why we were doing it and why it was could prevent cancer and how it reduced stress. And I really do in my own nutrition practice. I mean, every single client that comes to me is stressed about something. And that is like my first thing aside from dietary recommendations. I'm like, how are you taking care of your brain? Are you meditating? Do you do yoga? Do you journal? Like, what are you doing to de-stress? What are you doing for your mental health? And so I love that you quoted that study because it's so true.
Mm-hmm. And you could share it with them too and put it on your website. We put it on our website. I just think it's such a phenomenal study.
Yeah. Wow. And I think people forget, like in Sanskrit, breath is prana, which means life force. And
right.
Our breath is literally the single thing that is keeping us alive. Meanwhile, we often just put it to the wayside, like we forget about it. Whereas that could fuel our entire day, can change how we are. It's so important and it's just not talked about enough.
Yep. And when we are stressed, our breath is shorter.
Mm-hmm.
And when we need to calm down, we just deepen our breath. And it's pretty simple math. And most people don't focus on their breath. It's like the heart. You can't tell your heart to stop beating.
Exactly. And that's why we take sighs of relief.
Yes.
Like, to open mouth exhale.
It's true.
So I can't believe that we've had you here for almost a full hour. I'm so glad that you shared your story with us, that you showed us how the app works and more of those fun courses that are in there and all the things that our listeners can utilize. I'm so excited to share Unplug with them. But I did want to ask before we move into our closing questions, like for anybody, a meditator or a beginner who is on the fence, not sure if this is something that they can commit to or if they're ready for it, what would you tell them right now?
I would say keep it tiny. We know that if we commit to 60 seconds of breathing instead of 10 minutes, okay? If 10 minutes feels too overwhelming for you, try 60 seconds where you just sit with yourself for 60 seconds before you open up your email, before you do anything. And you may want to do more after that. You can consider that extra credit. But I would say to take that 60 seconds in the morning for yourself before you get out of bed. That's what I would highly recommend. For me, what I do is a practice called RCM. Rise, I wake up, I click the Unplug app, and then I meditate. And then I start my day. And that's why I am so consistent. It's because I RCM.
Love that. So I have one more question too, before we get into our rapid fire, kind of on the advice train. But as someone who started her own company, and as we are starting to build ours as a CEO, what advice would you give to anyone starting their own company or looking to build something from scratch?
Do it. Don't think and jump in with your feet first. If it's something that you're passionate about and you're doing all the time anyway, and you can't stop thinking about and you want it, I would just go for it. That doesn't mean you have to quit your day job. It doesn't mean that you need to stop where the money's coming in. You want to kind of like figure out a way to do both. Sure, it's easy for you to say, but that's not true. Like when I first started, I said I used to like help people with their closets. Like I could edit a closet really quickly. So I traded editing a closet for free legal advice. I traded media training for someone to design my logo. So there's a way to do things without having to actually pay for them. You can barter what you're good at with people who are good at other things, and just take it one step. Just do one thing every day in the direction of your dream. And don't listen to anybody around you. If I had listened to the people around me, there would be no Unplug meditation. There would never have been the world's first drop-in meditation studio or an app. So do what you love, whether it's going to be financially rewarding or not, doesn't really matter. If you love it, that means you're going to have a happy life. So I would say move forward in the direction of your dream. Don't look right, don't look left, just go straight.
I needed that. And it just also reminded me of how, like, I live in Dallas and there is a meditation studio here. And, you know, without you and your idea and what you brought to the table, that might not exist. And so I don't know, you got me inspired and got me thinking about how without you, this wouldn't happen. And hopefully with our dreams, people can say that about us one day.
Well, I would love to know, what are your dreams? Like, tell me what it is. What's the goal?
You want to
Should I go? Okay. I mean, well, we started the podcast. Kath and I have been friends since college, and our goal is to create a wellness empire. Starting with the podcast, hopefully a wellness center, maybe expand to multiple wellness centers, and who knows, an app. But it's kind of a similar mindset like you had with the Unplug app. Like, make it easy, make it accessible for everyone. Like, we want people to be able to work out, to be able to do yoga, but also have the availability of trying new things, trying the energy healing. Because like for me, I learned about Reiki from my acupuncturist. I learned more about crystals from my Reiki girl. Like, you're hearing about it from different people, but if there's like that one-stop shop, you're learning what could work best for you, and then incorporating it with the corporate life, because as someone in corporate America, there isn't enough of the healing space and that healing environment there. And I think that's where they need it most, which I think you are doing so well with at Unplug. And I think more people need to tailor to that.
Well, I don't think that seems that hard. That was easy. Okay, what else?
We're on it. No, I mean, we really do. Like, every time we get an idea for our wellness centers, we are like so fired up. But basically, like, as you know, and as we've been uncovering throughout this show, is just that we need to be taking a holistic approach to health. And at this moment in time, it feels like everyone is so sectioned off. You have a specialist for this, a specialist for this. You go to this practice for this. But like, in reality, we are a whole being, and our organ systems work together. In season 2 of Connecting the Dots, we really focused on the mind and the gut connection, and how, gut feelings are not just gut feelings and all of those things. And so we really want to create a space that considers a whole person and a whole body, and not just the one thing that is quote unquote wrong with you. So
I think that's great. Well, I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Appreciate it. Well, we'll get back to when we do it.
Yes, we'll keep you updated.
Well, we can help you too. So if you are interested.
Yeah. I definitely will be taking you up on that.
100% will. Well, leaving this conversation on quite a high note, but would love for you to give one piece of advice to our listeners who are starting their health journey today.
Just start. Don't think. That's the problem. Thinking has killed more dreams than starting has. So I would say, wake up today. download the Unplug app, click a 1-minute meditation under meditation quickies, and just start there and make it really simple and easy for yourself. And then tomorrow you'll do the same thing. And next thing you know, you'll hit your 653 days consecutively.
Love that. So what do you think the future of health looks like?
What do I think it looks like? I think there's just going to be more of it. People are getting smarter. You know, there's so much out there. You can go in two directions. One, you can deep dive into your health and wellness. And I think there's a lot of us out there right now. And we all want to be the best versions of ourselves. We all want to optimize ourselves. We all want to focus on our own algorithms and figure out how to make them stronger and better and more life enhancing and longevity. So I think that you're going to start seeing people taking more of an interest in health and wellness. All those topics that used to be uncomfortable for people to share and talk about are now so comfortable, so easy, and it's just going to get better and better.
100%. I couldn't have said that better. And so thank you so much again for giving us a little deep dive into the Unplug app. But would love for you to tell our listeners how they can connect with you, where they can find the app, and if they are in California, how they can go to the Unplug studio.
Great. I mean, just go to unplug.com. That's the simplest way. And there you'll see the Unplug app, the Unplug teacher training program, the Unplug corporate program, and the studio schedule. So you can find everything at unplug.com. And if you want to get in touch with me personally, I'm on LinkedIn under Suze Yalof Schwartz. I'm sure you're going to be putting all the notes in the bio. And I'm on Instagram as well. And I'm also the Unplug Meditation Instagram. So follow us there, please.
Well, thank you so much. This was an incredible conversation and very motivating as well. I definitely needed it today. So thank you.
Thank you. That was really fun for me too.
Yeah, I can't wait to RCM.
RCM!